very warm welcome to this wonderful privilege today for us to host once again Geshe Lhakdor. He's one of the trustees of the foundation, and we are several times over privileged. He always manages to create time and respond to our requests for these teachings, the virtual teachings, and also for a Dalai Lama chair that we partner with Goa University. And it is always a privilege several times over because he has, how do I put this? He has a global following, and we were just discussing whether a virtual teaching, though we are beaming outward, may be a better idea, but then we concluded that we should occasionally meet in person because there is no substitute for the presence and in-person engagement with the Master. And he's more than a master in that sense, apart from his own evolution as a Buddhist monk, and is his, as you will discover, is his truly remarkable, and I have to say very unique ability to make very complex teachings accessible in everyday language without compromising on their integrity and their intent and their precision. So we're deeply honored. And as protocol, just by way of a brief bio description, in some ways, monks are always living in the unfolding present, and the identity that they carry forward has very little meaning. They keep sort of leaving it, behind them and moving on. But I think most importantly, he is also a very real representative of the spirit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings. He's been a translator and an interpreter and editor for His Holiness and for his writings, and worked in the office of His Holiness, and was then given the extremely important job of working as the director of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, which represents the Tibetan collection, the Tibetan intellectual heritage in Dharamsala, preserving that and promoting that. He earned his Masters of Philosophy from the University of Delhi, so he has a traditional Western education in Buddhism, and of course, along with that, the Geshe degree from the Drepung Monastery in Karnataka. He has attended the Central Tibetan School in Dharamsala, in Dalhousie. But those are really peripheral facts for a monk. This is just for the record. So I'm deeply honored and blessed on behalf of all of us here and of the foundation to welcome you, Geshe-la. And may I call upon, this is Tenzin Legman, who is sort of the organizer of this program, and there's Sonamla and Akashlina, and somewhere here should be outside, who are the co-conspirators in helping put all of this together. So on behalf of the foundation team and all of you, I welcome you, Geshe-la.
Namaste. It is wonderful to meet all of you. This is a text by Shantideva, which is called Bodhisattva Way of Life. I am tempted to cite a few verses from here in the beginning. There is one verse which says, "The day like this, like today, where you are not sick, and you have food to eat, and no obvious harms. That is there. But, then he says, but life is just one moment. Life is deceptive, and it's actually one moment. This body that you have is like a garment that you borrowed from somebody for some performance. Right? Then there's another verse which says, having found such precious human life with time and facilities, if I don't make my mind habituated with good things, there cannot be anything more deceiving than this. There cannot be anything more ignorant than this. Very powerful verses, right? These things are needed to be told repeatedly in general and especially in today's world, because our priority lies in so many other things, not so much in transforming one's mind, one's attitude. And because of this, despite wanting happiness, not wanting suffering, we encounter suffering ceaselessly, and happiness becomes like rainbow, very elusive. Right? So he's saying, you need to be very careful, very attentive. So unlike before, so many distractions all around. Right? And life is short. Short means short. I've been kind of threatening people a little bit these days, imitating Buddha, by saying that we have right now over 8 billion human population, right? All this 8 billion human population will be dead, all of them dead, after 100 years counting from today. I'm not saying they will be killed in war by nuclear bombs or ballistic missiles, even otherwise. In 100 years counting from this, today, over 8 billion human population that we have today are all dead. When I say after 100 years, I've already given big discount. It doesn't apply to every one of us. For me, maybe another 10 years. So you can figure out in your own case. Right? There was a Tibetan teacher who asked his student, are you practicing Dharma? He said, yes, sir, I'm practicing. The teacher said, don't tell lie. I saw you sleeping the whole night. Of course, that's what we do. In the day, you remain distracted. So when do you get time to practice? Right? Now, what do we mean by doing practice? What do we mean by doing spiritual practice? It's not transporting yourself into a fancy, fairyland. Many people, I'm saying this intentionally because many people, when they talk about spirituality, they kind of think that they should be lost somewhere. If their head is beaten by a stick, that's not spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is for freedom, for liberation. Liberation from whom? Not from the occupying country, but from your own negative emotions. Now here you need to spend some time to think about it, whether this is true or not. You are controlled by your mind. That is not a big deal. But your mind is predominantly controlled by negative emotions. That is the problem. Now here you need to do a lot of research, not only listen to the Buddha's teaching, but research how far anger is good for you, for your family, for the society, for the world. How good is anger? Do research. And thereby, hopefully, we'll come to the conclusion anger is not so useful. That's what we need. But then, based on your research, if you find anger very constructive, very useful, go ahead. Nobody can stop you. Right? So if you want to develop anger, jealousy, hatred, self-grasping, all these bad things, good things, whatever you want, you are completely free to do it. You are completely free. किसी को मरना है मार दो कोई बात नहीं. If you want to fight somebody, fight. You're absolutely free. But then you should also be ready to face the consequence. That's what the Buddha is saying. As simple as that. जो करना करो, अगर उससे आपको रिजल्ट अच्छा मिलता है तो करो फिर. The problem with us is when doing bad things we are very brave. When facing the consequence we are coward. फिर डरते हैं. हाँ, एक भूकंप का झटका आएगा तो फिर when everything looks okay, then everybody is like hero, leader, पैसा वाला ये वो. कभी नहीं मरने वाला है मैं. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? की फर्क पड़ता है? पंजाबी में बोलते हैं ना की फर्क पड़ता है. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. So now the question is whether you can make your life happier or not. And what is that stops your freedom, stops your happiness? It's your inner negative emotions. Anger, jealousy, hatred, lack of contentment, lack of patience. All these 100,000 negative emotions are there inside us. So spiritual practice means not going anywhere. Spiritual practice means understanding your emotion. Understand your emotion. When I say emotions, there are two types, two groups. Positive emotions, negative emotions. Some emotions are called positive emotion because by developing that you will be happier, you will be able to live more harmonious life, more compassionate, more patient. Negative emotions means those emotions which will make you crazy. The question is, you want to become crazy? The global wars that we are fighting, we use the term insanity, right? So it's these negative emotions which will make you insane. So now it's up to us whether you want to become insane or sane. The choice is ours. So therefore, right at the beginning, I want to tell you that at least according to Buddhism, spiritual practice means transforming yourself into a happier, healthier, kind, compassionate, altruistic, strong person with integrity and so forth. Right? That's the key. And then the problem with these negative emotions that you should also understand. Now when we do talk about doing spiritual practice, we are talking about waging a war with negative emotions. The war that we are waging is against an enemy which is very elusive. वो बाहर से नहीं आता वो. If the enemy comes from outside, they may be terrible, but you can run away. Or if you're caught, you can say, I'm very sorry. Please spare my life. Whatever you say, I'll do. ऐसा नहीं है. The internal negative emotions, the more you submit, the more they will control you. through addiction. You get addicted to anger, addicted to jealousy, addicted to hatred. And there you show your greatness. This is the problem, it's addiction. Getting addicted to negative emotions. Just like getting addicted to coffee and tea. Getting addicted. Right? So therefore, this Shantideva's text here also he says, hatred, craving, these enemies, they don't have hands, they don't have legs. Generally speaking, they are not brave. This being the case, how come they are totally controlled by these negative emotions? So read this book. English translation is available. One of the best book available on ethics, written by a great Indian saint, Shantideva, in the 8th century. When I go around, I travel with this book. So powerful, so powerful. This book is trying to confront the negative emotions from all sides. Because negative emotions are very elusive, very cunning. Sometimes they come as a friend. When you develop attachment, they come as a friend. Okay, come here. I like you so much. Come closer to me. I want to be closer to my Mercedes car. Things like that. You get obsessed with that. And when hatred and anger comes, you distance yourself from those people. I have nothing to do with you. Get lost. Right? So their negative emotions are very elusive, very opportunistic. Mogavadi. So you need to be very careful. Negative emotions don't let you digest your food. Don't let you sleep peacefully. Keeps on highlighting the faults of others. Never letting you see your own fault. These are the deeds of negative emotions. They are horrible. So therefore, your only job, if you really want to be a spiritual practitioner, is not reciting the name of the gods or Buddha. That's okay, you can do. You can do anything you like, as I said. And especially reciting the names of Buddha, like Tibetans do Om Mani Padme. They're all very good, provided you understand the meaning and apply it to transform your life, your mind. That's the most difficult job. पोथी पर जग मुआ, आपको याद है ना, कबीर का है ना, पोथी पर जग मुआ, पंडित हुआ ना कोई, 1.5 अक्षर प्रेम का परे तो पंडित होए. It's clearly saying that when you don't cultivate some of these positive emotions within yourself, it doesn't really matter. You circumambulate around the temple 100,000 times, do 100,000 prostrations. They are, of course, better than the negative deeds, but that will really not transform your mind. So to transform your mind, you need to see the negative emotions as negative. And you need to, number one, your job is to recognize these negative emotions. Right now, we don't even recognize. We have this tendency of seeing anything belonging to you. Anger, jealousy, compassion, love, whatever you have, anything that you develop, you think this should be good because this is mine. This is our way of thinking. I call it smelly socks. When the socks is yours, then even if it is smelly, it is okay. You bring it close to your nose and sniff it sometimes to see whether it's smelly or not. When it's other people's socks, it may be brand new socks, but it's, socks is dirty. Yeah. So don't justify these negative emotions, which you have as good because it belongs to you. Right? Unless you do this job by yourself, nobody can benefit you, I'm telling you. Nobody can help you. And Buddha said it very clearly. He said, I have shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. I'm your teacher. I can give you homework. If you don't do the homework, you will fail miserably. Pass nahi hoga. Right? So talking and teaching is not that easy, but it's easier. but practicing, applying in daily life. There you need dedication, integrity, so many things. And how much you are able to do that is dependent upon how much conviction you have on the truth of the teaching. Conviction hona chahiye. That's why listen to the teaching, contemplate on the meaning, then meditate. These are the processes of Buddhist studies. Right? So therefore, this gathering is also for mind training, which is one of my very favorite texts, 7 points of mind training. So, the commentary is like the whole text. Commentary is very long. I am not trying to even read it. We have no time. It's literally wastage of time. You will not be able to understand everything. I will not be able to explain everything. But I really want you that in these gatherings, you need to remember a few things. If you really want to help yourself, okay, not for me. Purpose of your attending this teaching is you should first understand what are the 7 points. अभी थोड़ा कम करना है हम लोग बोल बोल के कुछ नहीं होने वाला है What are the 7 points of the mind training? The first is explaining the preliminaries as a basis for the practice. Second is the actual training in bodhicitta. Third is transforming adverse circumstances into the path to enlightenment. Hena? You got it, right? Fourth is the integrated practice of single lifetime. Fifth is the measure of having trained the mind. Sixth, the commitments of mind training. 7, the precepts of mind training. Itna, first you understand these points. These are the 7 points. After you understood that, then what comes under each section? This is the way of study and way of practice also. So this we need to do. Right? And then of course you will not be able to grasp everything just by 1 session or 2 sessions, even 5 sessions. But you need to regularly. Luckily now there are many texts available in English also, this text, more elaborate explanation. My library in Dharamsala has published at least 3 big commentaries on the 7-point mind training. So you can avail this. Right? So that's important. Now, of course, the mind training tradition came from Buddha and then transmitted through successive great teachers, and then primarily coming through Shantideva, and then Atisha, and then the writer of this text is Chekhawa Ishidorje. Okay? The title of this text is what? Okay, there's a brief introduction. Just listen to this. The 7-point mind training by Chekhawa, Geshe Chekhawa. The 7-point mind training belongs to the category of teachings known in Tibetan as Lojong, which translates to transforming the mind. Lojong means training the mind in English. It offers a pathway to turn adversity into opportunities for spiritual growth. Dekho? This will be so useful because today we are confronted by so many adversities. Aging, birth, suffering of aging, birth, sickness, death. These are These are of course there. In addition to that, in the modern life, countless inventions made by human mind may be to some extent useful. But for a spiritual practitioner, most of them are distractions, including artificial intelligence. For me, it is distraction. The more you go after this, the further they will take you from the real human being. Trust me. This is my understanding. But we are so good in getting distracted. We are small kids. Just throw a broken toy in front of the small innocent kids. They will see this is the world. They will play with it. We are doing exactly the thing. Now, even if you want to use these technological products, the person who is using it must be sensible. So many sensible people are there now. They are doing all this for business, for making money. Right? So unless you transform the mind, there's no way you can deal with any problems. People are facing so many problems. Familial problems, societal problems. So many. Resilience नहीं है, independent thinking नहीं है. बहुत बड़ा सिर लेके बैठा है, लेकिन सोच विचार ज़्यादा नहीं कर सकता है. सोच विचार करने के लिए समय भी नहीं है. You have no time to think also. है ना? So big issue. So transforming adversity, this mind training practice helps not only minimize and weaken sufferings, but transforming adversity, calamities into spiritual path. If you are able to do that, nothing can harm you then. Sickness, transform into spiritual practice. Somebody harming you, transform it into spiritual practice. There's nothing that will not become a contributing factor for your spiritual practice if you have that capacity to understand it in the right context. That's why there is a phrase in one of the mind training texts which says, I have only one servant, but that servant is so efficient, he does everything. So mind training is like that. He drives the car, he cooks the food, everything. So mind training. Because you are controlled by your mind, not your body. In today's world, we are giving so much credit, so much attention to the body. कौन सा खाना खिलाना है, कौन सा जिम में जाना है, क्या एक्सरसाइज करना है, so much to the body. But for the mind, zero, almost zero. Some people might say, oh, I did 5 minutes meditation this morning, as if he or she had made a big sacrifice. कुछ है नहीं. So the reality is, because of this, reality is we don't know how to live with others and don't know also how to live alone. You know how to live alone? Do you know how to live alone? COVID-19 proved that people don't know how to live alone. This is a big problem. If you don't know how to live alone and also don't know how to live with others, फिर क्या करेंगे आप? Either you should know how to live with others, with love, with compassion, with harmony, with encouragement, with inspiration, or you just isolate yourself, remain in solitude as the great teachers, like including Buddha did, to transform yourself. Not only for your personal benefit, but having transformed oneself comes back to the society, helping them. This is exactly what the Buddha did. When his father requested, please don't leave the kingdom. You are my heir. You need to look after the kingdom. And then the Buddha said, I'm not running from responsibility. I'm taking actually more responsibility. I'll go into solitude, refuel myself, re-energize myself, then come back to save not only this kingdom but whole humanity. So now see today, after more than 2,500 years of Buddha's coming, how many millions still get inspired by his teaching. There's the thing. Because the truth is, your father cannot protect you all the time. Your mother cannot protect you all the time. Your sister cannot protect you all the time. Not only they will not be able to protect you, but even while you are living together, it's not that easy to live together nicely, And nobody knows who is educating who. The younger generation seems to be educating the elder generation seems to be educating the younger generation, and nobody is listening. Although you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, only one mouth, but we keep on talking and not listening, not seeing. That's the issue. That's the problem, right? So therefore, it offers a pathway to turn adversity into opportunities. If you know, you can transform everything into opportunity. Suffering is introduction to happiness. Challenges provide opportunities. Don't run away from them. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says the essential message of Lojong teaching is that if we want to see a better world, this mind training practice is not only for those people who want to isolate themselves and go into the cave. If you want to really see a transformed world, we should begin by improving our own mind. Somebody correctly said, yesterday I was clever, I tried to change the world. Today I'm wiser, I'm changing myself. That's the only way. That's the only way. It teaches us. For me, the Lojong tradition stands as the heart of the Buddha's message of peace. It teaches us how to regard others with the dignity and care that they deserve, and also how to transcend the limitations of conventional ego grasping. अहंकार आजकल सबके पास अहंकार इतना है कि सांस भी नहीं ले सकता, मैं बोल करके गुब्बारा जैसे फूल की बैठा है. In brief, it is a guideline for our own enlightenment, leading to enlightened conduct in our own dealings with others. Others, when you say others, as I said, others are like innocent people. They think they're educated, they BA, MA, and all those MPhil and all those papers. But basically, the Buddha calls all of us my children. A very affectionate word, my children. Children, because he has love for all of us. Children, because we are still ignorant, we are going in the wrong direction, not in the right direction. Most of us don't know kya karna chahiye. That's the problem. Right? So when you see this level of pervading ignorance with everybody, then you also feel very compassionate. Just like right in the beginning, as I said, when we know that after 100 years all this over 8 billion human population is dead, so naturally you will develop compassion, love. This is the condition, this is the situation. Naturally. So it is by understanding the reality, the law of nature, naturally you will develop harmony, compassion. Everything will come from there. Right? Okay. Then the text says, the 7-point mind training by Geshe Lhakdor. Homage to great compassion. Look here. Homage to great compassion. He does not pay homage to Buddha or Avalokiteshvara or any deity. This is the beauty. Because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are all product of compassion. Therefore, compassion is so important. I pay homage to compassion. I pay homage to karuna. Compassion, karuna. Hindi word karuna, literally translated means stopping the bliss. That means when you're stopping the bliss, stopping the peace, meaning that when you genuinely develop compassion by seeing suffering of others, you develop a little bit uneasiness, disturbs your peace a little bit. इसलिए बोलते करुणा, devangoma, karuna. Now this is different from suffering that you experience by developing negative emotions. When you experience suffering by developing negative emotions, it will jolt you completely, it will shake you completely. But when you develop some kind of uneasiness and concern by developing compassion for others, it will disturb you a little bit on the surface. But deep down there is confidence because you are doing the right thing. It's like a big ocean. Where on the surface there are little bit ripples, small waves, but deep down it's calm. So this is different from the ordinary experience of suffering. So I pay homage to compassion. Compassion means a mind which thinks, how nice if I'm able to remove the sufferings of all sentient beings. Now first forget about removing suffering of all sentient beings. Do we think about removing my own suffering? No. चिल्लाता बहुत है हम लोग, मेरे पास ये भी है यार, क्या करूँ भाई, यहाँ सिर दर्द भी हो रहा है, कमर दर्द भी हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, लेकिन करता क्या? अब कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, सिर्फ चिल्लाता है. ये suffering, from where this suffering comes from? How can I handle it? Everything has their cause and condition. That's why Buddha, after getting enlightened, he taught the famous Four Noble Truth teaching. Happiness, you want happiness, it comes from its cause. You don't want suffering, it comes from its cause. This is called Four Noble Truth teaching. Amazing teaching, scientific teaching. So everything has its causes and conditions. If you don't want suffering, just as the Buddha did, look for the cause and conditions of those sufferings. Reduce it, you will be happier. So to make a long story short, what the Buddha is saying really is, stop doing all these nonsensical things. Stop doing all these activities that you are doing which is of no use, no benefit at all. And start doing those things which is useful, which is benefit. That's all what he's saying. Now in our real life story, for example, useless things. One of your family member dies, you cry, weep, you shout. Is it useful? No use. When they are alive, you are living together, live harmoniously, it is useful? Yes, do that. If you have done that, then when they die, it's like meeting is parting. Meeting itself is the cause for parting. If you don't want to experience that suffering of parting, don't meet anybody. Don't marry. Suffering तो तुमने खुद ढूंढा हुआ है. You went to buy it. So much of the sufferings that forget la so nyopje jaga chinro. So it's our own doing. So don't do that. Right? So pay homage to the great compassion, not only compassion, but great compassion. Great compassion means thinking how nice if I am able to remove the sufferings of all sentient beings, not just human beings, all living beings. All living beings. All living beings means it's not just human beings. Even the seemingly helpless insects, they also want happiness, right? But human beings, so-called intelligent human beings, what are we doing today? We think that human beings should survive and the rest should be terminated. They should be killed. Machar ko, in order to kill mosquito, how many things we have invented. In order to kill other animals, how many things we have invented. Abhi hal hi mein mosquito, one equipment I saw, I think developed in South Korea, light just like hai. When a mosquito comes nearby, it actually pulls it in, and then once in, it cracks into pieces. This is just one small example. चूहा मरने के लिए तो है ही है, खटमल मरने के लिए तो है ही है, सब मरने के लिए. And the human beings have now started killing each other. Right? Still we think we are intelligent. I'm telling in general, I'm not scolding you, okay? Really? I'm sometimes a little bit shocked, We say we are so intelligent, we have invented so many things, and we don't have the capacity to remove the pollution in Delhi. Be it air pollution, water pollution, इतना अकल तो हमारे पास है ही नहीं. हर जगह garbage, उसको remove करने के लिए अकल है ही नहीं हमारा. I mean, Delhi is just an example, it's similar everywhere. So that shows something. That shows that you don't have the will and the love and compassion for your people, for Delhi walas and for everybody. There's not much dedication. I'm not saying nobody is there except me, but there may be some people, but it's not so visible. So we should make it visible by doing things. So these teachings are not only for liberation, nirvana, after 100 years somewhere. No, it is from today, applicable in your own life, in the society. Homage to great compassion. What do you mean by homage? The Tibetan word for homage is chak selva, which means two things. Chak, that means sweep, just like jaru marke. आम आदमी पार्टी का नहीं ले ऐसे जरूर मार के जो गंदगी है उसको बाहर फेंकना छाप अंदर का जो गंदगी है all the impurities that you have inside they should all be swept clean छाप उसके बाद साल फिर उसके बदले कुछ ना कुछ प्राप्त होना should also get something not only sweep your negative emotions but also get the good qualities छाप salva. It's not just the physical prostration. It has that this is the meaning, Chak Salva. So again you can see what you are removing is the negative emotions. What you are seeking is the positive emotions. Right? So for that purpose you physically bend down, physically bending down, mentally, verbally reciting something, that's good. But most important thing is your mind should pay homage. Mind should observe humility. Because the more humility that you have, the more you become receptive to many other realizations and qualities. If you are not humble, you can't get anything. Okay? So, the essence of this nectar of secret instruction, this secret instruction, this is called secret instruction because there was a time when these mind training texts were given from qualified teacher to qualified students. This was not given in public, right? So therefore it is called secret teaching because people will not be able to practice it. So why should we teach it like that? That was the thought in the beginning. Secret instruction. And this secret instruction is really like the nectar. Among nectar also there are so many. Amrit bolta hai na hum log, nectar. There are so many special, there is a special nectar which would remove illness, death, sickness and everything supposed to be there. So like this is absolutely true. If you practice sincerely, honestly, regularly, these instructions, sickness will be not there. All the sicknesses that we get by taking what? Wrong food. You take wrong food because wrong thinking. And because of your wrong thinking, because of your appetite for these bad things, market is flooded with junk food. And then the wise, clever people are consuming that junk food. Junk food matlab kya hai? Those packaged food with a lot of sugar and salt. वही तो है junk food. वही कितना हम लोग consume कर रहे हैं. Because of consuming this endless junk food, you die before the time of death. You become sick before it is time to become sick. It's all our doing. Because you want to do exactly like what other people are doing. You never hardly think. We are colluding with these business people, you know. We can't just complain them. You are colluding, you are partner. So we should have the courage to say no to many of these things. हिंदी में बोलता है ना अगर आप माइक लाल हैं तो ये सारा जो गंदगी है इसको स्टॉप करना चाहिए. Really, honestly speaking. मारने के वक्त तो मर जाएगा लेकिन उससे पहले क्यों मारना है ना? Nectar instruction is transmitted from the master from Sumatra, Indonesia. The master called Swandipa Selingba was from Indonesia. It's called Sumatra. You should understand the text as meaning and the rest as like a diamond, the sun and medicinal plant. We don't have to go into detail, but diamond, even if it's a broken piece, it's very costly. It can remove your poverty. So this teaching is like that. It's the sun. As soon as the sun comes, all the darkness that may be there for 100,000 years, it will go away with one रोशनी. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि हम तो रोशनी दे ही नहीं रहा है. In a room which is full of darkness, with one push of button, the light comes, the darkness goes away. Where does it go? So similarly, if you gain this wisdom and cultivate it, darkness will go. But we are fond of sitting in darkness. Light se darta hai hum log. We are scared of light. And medicinal plant. A medicinal, not only ordinary medicinal plant, but a very special medicinal plant that can cure all kinds of your sicknesses. This spirit of the 5 degeneration will then be transformed into the path to enlightenment. We are said to be living in the time of 5 degenerations. Hindi में हम लोग बोलते हैं ना काली युग. काली युग में हम लोग बैठा है. 5 degenerations. People are nasty. Negative emotions are strong. And the time is such there are many diseases, sicknesses there. So 5 degenerations can be transformed and lead you to achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment means Buddhahood. Buddhahood means somebody who knows everything, who has removed all the sufferings, all the problems. This is a very deep, profound statement which you may not believe right now, but at least what we can believe is if you study, you can become better. तरक्की तो कर सकता है, नहीं तो हम लोग पता है ना. There's enough. If we make effort, we can become better, we can be happier, more peaceful. So that's enough. That shows that you can. And then believe, listen to this carefully. Then there is a difference between training the body and training the mind. When you train the body, you are giving training to a physical object. Anything that is physical by definition has limitation. Let us say you are today the world's #1 gold medalist in long jump. Right? You are already very famous. Now still you do some more practice. You will make maybe little progress. But it will never come to you that now this gentleman is jumping from one mountain to another mountain. ऐसा हुआ है अभी तक? Have you seen anything like that? Because the basis on which you are giving training is physical. The basis on which you give the mental training is such that this is non-physical, so you can develop it to limitless quality. This shows the possibilities of achieving enlightenment. Until now, nobody has existed who said that my mind is full, I can't study more. Gigabyte, terabyte, both इससे भी आगे माया में. Right? So this is really like the good news. Even in economical terms, look at the question of development of a nation. For example, the GDP growth. Everybody expects rise in the GDP growth, which is unrealistic because you are talking about material development. Material development, by definition, as I said earlier, is a physical development. Physical development has to come from physical resources. It has to come from rivers, forests, minerals. The more you do this kind of development, the more you will deplete the natural resources, the water resources, the forest resources, which is happening already. All these pollutions you see are product of that. Right? So the real progress should be concentrated on the mind, because #1, it is the one which controls your life, which directs your life. And #2, if you know how to handle it properly, it can be developed to limitless quality. And number 3, once you develop these inner qualities, no thieves can steal it, no robbers can rob it, excess luggage bhi nahi hoga, you will have no problem at the airport. You can go anywhere free. Just like the Buddha. Once he was crossing a river and suddenly he caught a branch of a tree. Then he said, "What am I doing? I'm grasping." He gave up. You see? So when you develop this grasping, it looks like you're getting something, but actually you are getting stuck with it. So if you get obsessed and stuck with something, how are you going to get that freedom? It is impossible, right? Okay. Now explaining the preliminaries as the basis for the practice. Now if you want to do the practice, then first you need to know how to start. First training the preliminaries. What are the preliminaries? The preliminaries are first you should know this life that you have obtained is very precious. This human life that you obtained today is very precious and it is not easy to get it. Don't take it for granted that I will die and born as human being again, at least from Buddhist perspective. What life you will take next time depends upon what karma you are doing. But at least you know that you got a good life right now. This is precious. Don't waste it for small things. Don't waste this life by eating junk food. This is what he's saying. And I can make so many other comments, right? Number 1, this is preliminary thing. I obtained this very precious human life. Precious human life means you have this amazing intelligence, capacity to think and make long-term plan. Dogs don't have that, cows don't have that, birds don't have that. Only human beings make long-term plan. The second preliminary is, even though you have obtained this very precious life, but you are not going to live here very long. I already told you. So think about impermanence and death. Death can come anytime. In the modern world, we are very good in making appointments, but the Lord of Death or Messenger of Death will never seek your appointment. They will never ask you whether you have finished all your work and ready to go or not ready to go. Right? They'll come anytime. Normally we think the younger people die first the elder people die first, younger people die later. Not necessary. Not necessary. Think about that. And then third is, after death, just like the death of a butter lamp, if you disappear into nothingness, then it's okay. खाओ पियो मौज करो बोलते हैं ना हम लोग. कल किसने देखा बोलते हैं ना हम लोग. Who has seen the next life? Who has seen yesterday or tomorrow? Just enjoy. If you read the life story of Leo Tolstoy, he's a very famous Russian writer. He's written many books. Then in his old age, people were not paying much attention to him, not getting much respect as he used to get. He started getting depression. He used to carry a gun and hunt rabbit. And because of this depression, he started thinking that now I should not carry the gun with me, I might kill myself. Then he started thinking about human life, meaning of human life. And on this observation, I don't remember all the sequence, one after another, but it's something like that. He said, he found one group of people who said, there's no meaning in human life, there's no afterlife. So eat, make merry, whatever you want to do. There's nothing good or bad, do whatever you want to do. One category. Second category is, there's no meaning in human life, so let us commit suicide. henna, wasabi henna. There are people like that. Henna. Then I think there was probably a third one. Third category is there are people who are not able to see the meaning of human life, but who don't have the courage to kill themselves. So they were just living like this. Then he observed the third, the majority of the people who don't ask any question about whether human life has a meaning or not, what happens after death. They never ask this question. They just cultivate their land, what small things they do, and then whatever bread and whatever they've earned, they eat together. That's one way of spending life. Right? So the point that I'm making is, at least according to the Buddhist teaching, after death you don't disappear into nothingness. Your body will be left behind, but your mind continues. For example, tonight when you go to bed and sleep, your body on the bed is more or less dead. I'm not saying it's dead, but more or less dead, right? Because sleeping means withdrawing all your senses. You withdraw all your senses, and then you may be karate mar raha hoga, pata nahi kya kar raha hoga. So, but your mind becomes even more sharp. You are sleeping, snoring on your bed, but your mind is shopping in New York. Don't you get such dream? Or many other dreams, clearly showing that your mind becomes more active. Normally you give so much credit to the senses. This is another human problem today. So much credit to the senses, you never give an opportunity to the mind, especially the subtlemost mind. So therefore the Buddhist text says, mind training the mind, meditation, all these things are needed. Where they are saying, the one that goes to the next life is your mind, so train it. Ordinary way of doing dharma practice is going around the temple, doing prostration, listening and reading some text, but none of these senses go to the next life. So when you do the practice, you need to meditate, involve your mind, leave an imprint on the mind, form a habit of the mind. This habit will go. For example, in the day, if you formed a good habit, it is possible that your night's dream will be a good one. If your mind had, formed a bad habit in the day, fighting with somebody, you might fight again in the night also. Nighttime nightmare. Right? So you don't disappear into nothingness. Therefore, the next preliminary is think about cause-effect relationship, law of karma. Nothing disappears. Depending upon what you do, you will reap the fruit. Think about that. Then the fourth preliminary is the fault of the samsara. Fault of the samsara means the life that we are living. Is it everything okay? Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Maybe different answers. Some people who are very comfortable with the way they are living never ask question, they say yes, okay. Just like the cows. They think everything is okay because they don't think. Right? But if you think carefully, then aging, sickness, birth, death, plus how many different types of diseases are there today? Modern diseases, low self-esteem, loneliness, right? So many problems are there. So therefore, then you have to die again and again, born again and again. You have to get separated from all your relatives and things like that. You may be very rich today. Tomorrow you may be a beggar. You may be president, prime minister of a country today. Tomorrow you will be in the jail. I'm not exaggerating. We have seen so many of those types. Because we engage in the wrong ways of living, the result is you get all these problems. So you cannot cheat. You can cheat police. You cannot cheat law of causality. It's not the question whether the wrongdoing that you have been doing is seen by other people or not. They may or may not have seen, but you have seen. Your conscience knows it. Or even if you don't pretend that you have not seen, but your mind is involved with that. You are forming a habit. And that habit lives in imprint, right? Chuzu Khawlips. Jebarwe. Okay, so this is the preliminary. So remember these 4 preliminaries. So out of the 7, the first point, explaining the preliminaries as a basis for the practice, is done. This is done. Now I will open the session for question answers. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it's a tradition of giving some opportunity for asking questions. Yes, please.
Sir, pardon me if I am wrong. You quote Kabir and said, dead Akshar Prem ka. It's not dead, it's die. You quote Kabir and you said, dead Akshar Prem ka. No. But it's not dead Akshar, it's die Akshar.
Dai bola maine, dai bola.
And second thing, you give a very comprehensive definition of compassion.
Yes.
And you said removing suffering from all living beings. So it's why we are so confined. We are not thinking about beyond living being, means non-living being. In front of desk, you see desk, it is made of wood. Some time ago it was also living. So definition of compassion is so confined. Can say something
Yeah,
about
you can become bigger if you like. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The teaching that I have given is based on the Mahayana teaching, said to be belonging to the great thinking. But if you think this is confined, then you can say, I have my compassion on the stone, I have my compassion on the table. If it makes sense, go ahead. I have no problem. But from Buddhist perspective, this makes no sense. Because we show compassion to those who have feeling, not inanimate objects. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Hello, sir. Hello. So my question is that is the soul exist or what is after death?
This depends upon what do you mean by soul.
Soul and body are different, or is there any scientific proof that soul
So this depends upon what do you mean by soul. Buddhists talk about anatma. Atma nahi hai. So that means if you are talking about a permanent soul, then Buddhists don't believe in that. Okay? And then of course, mind and body separate. They are dependent upon each other, but they are separate.
And then if there is no soul, then there is no rebirth.
There is no
Rebirth.
Yeah, I thought they will ask this question. Rebirth takes place on the basis of mind, not on the soul. Even if you use the mind, we are not talking about permanent mind. Many people ask this question because they think that if there's continuity of life, it should be permanent. No. For example, when you were a 3-year-old child, from that until now you continue to grow, but it's not permanent. You can see how much you have changed. So like that. And the river that originates from the Sulu mountain goes into the ocean, goes all the way from the Sulu mountain to the ocean. But it's not permanent. It's changing all the time. Sometimes it becomes muddy, sometimes it disappears under the ground, sometimes falls from a rock, but the continuity goes. So this is important question. We have to think about this. Because many people think that, and there's a reason for that, think that anything that continues forever must be permanent. No. Yeah.
I want to ask how to examine the nature of unborn awareness.
This will come later.
Oh, okay.
Will come later.
Can I have the question? This thing. Thank you for the good words.
Yeah.
I'm into teaching and of competitive exams, and I'm into teaching profession,
Okay.
and I teach students of competitive exams. And the nature of competitive exam by themselves is very negative for both the parties involved.
Competitive.
Yes,
Yeah.
competition.
Competition, yeah.
Yes. So students who are into competitive exams preparation, how they should navigate these teachings along with their pathway towards success.
No, everybody has the right to get number one position. For example, two people are running abreast each other. So both have the right to get the number one position. Okay. So that's okay. That's positive compassion. But while you attempt to become number one, if you push the other person, that is negative competition. That should not be there. While you make progress, you try to hinder others. That is negative. That should not be there. You should try to get number one, but also encourage others to become number one. That's healthy. Yeah.
I just wanted the repetition. The four preliminaries were knowledge is precious. Human life is precious.
Yes.
And the second is realizes impermanence.
Yes.
And third is the law of karma.
Yes.
I'm not very clear about the fourth one. If you can just.
What was the fourth?
Fold of samsara.
Fault of samsara.
What's that?
Faults of samsara. Demerits of samsara.
Demerits of
बुराइयाँ जो संसार में जो बुराइयाँ है उसको shortcomings of the samsara. Yeah.
Your Holiness, my question is.
Don't call me Your Holiness.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
A Venerable Geshe
Geshe.
Yeah, Venerable Geshe.
Yeah.
This teaching originated from Sumatra. So basically, it comes from the Theravada tradition, like Southeast Asia.
No, Mahayana.
Mahayana.
At that time, they were both Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition. Also, Islam religion was also there at that time. But it is said that this Sumatra, he was a what do you say, prince. He was a prince, and it said that because of his past lives, the karmic connection, he was so attracted to the Mahayana teaching, even from the childhood. So he embraced the Mahayana teaching. Yeah. Okay. Those who have not got the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I wanted to ask, like even if we agree and realize at the individual level these things, and we try to practice whatever you are saying, and they are correct also, but we are living in a society and in a community, and scientifically and technologically we are saying that so-called we are progressing and so-called development, and our longevity at the macro level is also increasing our average human life. So science and technology, they claim that in times to come maybe they will they'll science and technology will pay God. AI, you said that it is. I also feel the same. But so how can we inculcate or practice these things at the community level or at the micro level, or 800 billion people? Like I have to do it individually, but why don't we realize or practice these things at the society and the community at the macro level? Micro level, every individual has a choice and they can do, and they have to imbibe these things and practice. So how can it be practiced at the?
I told you right in the beginning, whether you want to do something destructive or constructive, choice is yours. So the life we are living right now, thinking primarily about money, right? If you think this is the best choice, of course you go for that. Everybody is going for that. But what the Buddhist teaching is saying is, It is not just the wealth. It is the goodness, kindness, compassion, love, harmony that matters. So if you don't have this, even after so much hard work, you may become billionaire, so forth. You will crumble again, come down because of your wrongdoings. There's no stability, right? So therefore the choice is really yours.
But there are very few people who, realize and they are able to practice these things. And so at the macro level or the
When
societal
it
level,
comes to doing good, it is not question of the number. Especially the good things, people who do good things, you are right, their number is small. So we need more numbers. We need more Dalai Lamas. We need more Mahatma Gandhis. And who will follow them if we don't follow? If you only say, oh, with science and technology you become billionaire, that's enough. I don't care about future life. I have not seen one future life. I mean, that's one way of thinking, Nobody can force you to do that. But then, as I said, you should also ready to bear the consequences of only, doing things just for get money or making some true improvement in your mind, so that from life after life you become better and better, happier and happier. Which one you want to choose? That's up to us. Yeah.
yeah, that is the choice we have to make at the individual level.
Yes.
But there is so much societal pressure, and then we are forced to, perforce, we are forced to follow that
Which
path.
means ifs and buts doesn't apply. You have to do it. If you think this is important, somebody has to do it. Right? Because even at the time of the Buddha, societal pressure was maybe not like this, but it was there. In fact, if you recall, not only Buddha, all the sadhus that ran away from the society went into the mountain because of the social pressure. Because India was at that time ruled by small rajas, and then one powerful raja conquers another small one. He becomes a little bit bigger. Then in that bigger community, bigger kingdom, more bad things were happening. Killing, raping, all those were there. Then some of the thinkers like Buddha, they said, "Ye kya ho raha hai? Now we need to go to the forest and think and plant something to transform the society." That's why they went to the forest, not just running away from the people. So we need that. We really need that. But otherwise, I can bet that where the world is going right now. अभी nuclear bomb कितना है?
बढ़ता जा रहा है.
No, more than 8,000. Something like that. Just nuclear bomb, then plus ballistic missile, smart. क्या बना के रखा है हम लोग खिचड़ी? मिडिल ईस्ट में कितने लोग मर गया, यूक्रेन रशिया में कितने लोग मर गया, बाकी जगह में कितना मर रहा है, यही रास्ते पर चलना है हम लोग. And then few rich people are becoming richer and richer. I don't know how much they can eat. It's ludicrous. And still there, 11% of the rich people are ruling the world today. This is what you want. And then look at like countries like India. You go to the small villages. I don't know exact percentage, but 60, 70, 80% of people are still living in poverty.
Yes, rich are getting richer and poor are getting poorer.
That's what I'm saying. So are we okay with that? That's what I'm saying. It's very challenging, not easy. But not easy doesn't mean you should not do it. इधर पीछे भी एक है.
So when it comes to doing good, right? There is always a dilemma that we come in, and there are two corollaries to it. So doing good is also not doing harm to anybody, right? And we may have a mind, but at the end of the day, we are also kind of animals in the sense that we have our instinct of self-preservation. So I'll take a very common example that we have. So every day we get into some kind of a monetary transaction where we are negotiating with somebody, right? So if I'm making profit, he is making profit, it is a good situation, right? But if he is making profit and I'm making a loss, right, which is a self-harm in a way, it's not a good situation. Similarly, if I'm making a profit and he's making a loss, right, that is also not a good situation. But how do you deal with it? How do you realize, how do you draw a line? Because it's not a 0-1 situation.
The line is, how much is how much? How much you want? That's the question. That's the question. You see, अदानी भी अभी भी बोल रहा है कि मुझे और पैसा चाहिए, अंबानी भी चाहिए और पैसा चाहिए, अभी बोल रहा है और मुझे चाहिए, मैं भी बोल रहा हूँ और
No,
चाहिए.
I'm not saying that. See, what I'm
Yeah.
also
No,
saying
no.
is, I'm saying is,
Yeah.
see, typically, let us say whether I'm buying from a vegetable vendor or I'm buying, let us say, a house,
Yeah.
right? A big ticket item, a small ticket item.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to pay the market price,
Yeah.
right? There is another person who wants to get more than the market price, right? I may go with the assumption, that, look, I don't want to maximize my profit, right? But I want to buy it at the market price. But there's nothing like a market price, right? In the sense you can't find it out.
Because the whole society is corrupted. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So this
The
is one
society
corollary.
is completely
The society is so corrupted,
Yeah.
right? How do you prevent yourself from doing harm to anybody?
I'll give you a very good answer. If everybody is jumping from the 9th floor and committing suicide, will you also say, since everybody is jumping, I will also jump? Right? So when it comes to doing something good, as much of I agree with you that you will not 100% successful, but what I'm saying, what Buddha was saying is, as much as possible, try to do the good thing. You may not be successful all the time, but try as much as possible. And don't say that I'll do it because everybody is doing it. This is where we make the mistake. You see? Right? Okay.
Venerable Geshe
Yeah.
Lhakdor, you mentioned about compassion towards all beings.
Yeah.
In my limited mind,
Yeah.
that probably leads us to have a lot of pain looking at others' pain. How does one balance that with, let's say, a selfish thought process of me working on my own mind and my own mind training?
Because when you look at the sufferings of others, you are not looking at their suffering with an ordinary mind, just as we do. You are looking at the sufferings of others with wisdom mind. Whether there's a solution or not solution, you think about it, right? So by seeing this overwhelming suffering, you don't get discouraged, but instead you say, okay, this is the big problem. I may not be able to do everything, but I'll do whatever is possible for me to do. That's the process. But you're right, that is not easy. That is not easy. Yeah.
Hello. Sir, my question is, what is the true definition of religion? Because what is the true definition of religion? Although all the religions of the world teaches good things, but still people are fighting for each other in the name of religion. So what is the true religion?
Definition, this word religion come from the Latin word religare, which means uniting together. The loose meaning of religion is uniting people together. So that should be there. But if you go a little bit more into the philosophy of religion, then this word religion is a Western notion, not Indian thought. So religion means that practice where the faith to the Creator God is the most important one. In which case, Buddhism is not religion. Buddhism is Dharma or Dharma, not religion in that sense.
What is Dharma, sir?
Dharma, there are like almost like 100 different definitions. But for me, I may be wrong, correct it. For me, Dharma means the law of nature. So practice Dharma means understand the law of nature and live in accordance with the law of nature. Law of nature क्या है? We are all interdependent. Law of nature. We are going to die. Law of nature. We have problems. Law of nature. So understand that.
Good evening. Where does self-preservation, doing good for oneself, end and begin, and doing good for the other? How are they compatible, and to what extent can we stretch ourselves?
Self-preservation, as someone else also asked this question, it's not actually, honestly speaking, it's not important how long you live. Many of us are thinking, okay, with the science and technology, we are able to live longer. So what? There is a Buddhist saying which says, may the sinners have short life. क्या करोगे जिंदगी जी जी के? ठीक है ना? ठीक है ना? So therefore, the question is not how long you live, but how you live.
Yeah, so that's what I said.
So now if you're dedicated to benefit many other people, want to do many good things, then you should self-preserve and live long, live healthy, take good care of yourself. That's why we make repeated long life offerings to people like His Holiness Dalai Lama. Please stay with us. We pray for their long life. They are so important. If there is not there, but we all have this tendency to live long. There is a story, Indian story. I'll tell you this story. Then maybe we stop. Very interesting Indian story. There was a gentleman who lived 1,000 years. So in the course of his 1,000 years of life, he married 100 women. So he had 100 wives and 100 children, sons and daughters, whatever. So one day, when the father was 1,000 years old, the messenger of death came and he said, you lived too long. You are 1,000 now. You need to go. He said, yeah, no, I know. I lived 1,000 years, but I still want to live long. But in my case, I have so many children. Take one of them. This is how we think. Then the messenger of death goes to the eldest son. The eldest son says also the same thing. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Then finally it goes to the youngest one, who was only 16 years old. And then the youngest son expressed joy and happiness. Yes, I want to go. I want to die. Then the messenger of death, he was dumbfounded. He said, your father, all your elder brothers, nobody wants to go. And why you are so excited to go? And this young child said, since my father and brothers, having lived so long, did not get anything, I don't think I'll get anything, so I want to go. So this is how we think. Huh? Yayati, yes. All right, this way. Yeah.
Can I
okay.
ask one question?
Okay, one last question.
In Advaitwad, they talk about consciousness being the force, life force, and which we believe is God within us. What is the Buddhist perspective of the same thing?
What?
Consciousness.
Consciousness, mind, they are same according to Buddhism. They'll continue from life to life.
Yeah. Is there a belief in God in Buddhism?
No. If you say Buddhists believe in God, then they will write in small g, not big G, big G.
Okay. Because consciousness is...
Because we don't believe in a creator God.
No, consciousness is a life force which is unending and it's there all the time.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And it is within you.
Doesn't have to be permanent. It will continue, so it is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, good evening. On behalf of Foundation for the Universal Responsibility of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, first of all, I would like to offer sincere gratitude to Venerable Geshe Lhakdor for these invaluable teachings, where he taught us about the 7-point mind training, where he mentioned that we can transform the adversities of life into opportunities through training our mind. In our daily life, we usually focus more on materialistic things and training our body. Instead of that, if we try to train our mind through the teachings of Geshe La, which will go on for next 4 days, it will be very helpful in our daily life. And I would like to thank India Habitat Center for collaborating with us for these teachings. And I want to thank our trustee, managing trustee, Mr. Rajiv Mehrotra, who has guided us throughout and make it a success. And I want to thank Syncline for recording today's session, which will be available later on in our official YouTube and our website. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the beautiful audience who show up today. And we would like to have you in the next 4 days as well. It will be continued continued till 19th of February. And I would like to request that we have so many people on waiting list. If you are not coming by any chance tomorrow or day after, please let us know through email so that we can offer seat to the one in the waiting. Thank you so much. And
Shubhratri. Good night.